Hi friends, it's Wednesday, so you know that means I have a new video for you. It's full of Dollar Tree decor ideas, DIY, and more. Now if that's something you're into, I highly suggest you hit that subscribe button. Today is also the day of the 777 challenge, so more about that in a little bit, but let's get crafting. So first we have this cute little Dollar Tree galvanized sign, and it has this cute little cutout in the middle, and I think that is just so like modern looking to me. So we're making a DIY that fits with the modern style. So this DIY is actually inspired by Shayna from Robinson Repurposing. She did something similar to it on her Instagram page. I'm not sure if it's in a video or not, but I'm gonna link down her channel below. So I'm doing my different take on this, and these cute little half beads, I call them, they kind of look like just like the tops of beads to me. So I have been looking for the wooden versions of these everywhere, and I think you can find them on Amazon. But I kind of challenged my husband because he has a 3D printer, and I was like, do you think you'd be able to print out something like this? And he's like, oh yeah, definitely. And I didn't believe him, and then he actually was able to do that. And so I'm like, okay, now I gotta use these beads that you printed out. But so pretty much you can either, yes, 3D print these, or you can find these on Amazon. So that's why these are actually black, when normally these would be wooden. That's currently the 3D printing material that he has right now, so pretty much anything he prints just comes out in this color. So next I am actually just taking some masking tape to cover up this little wooden piece on the bottom, because I am going to paint the top and I want the bottom piece to be left alone. Originally I had that green color out over there because I thought maybe I was going to paint the bottom of this green. I don't know, maybe I will eventually in the future, but today's DIYs are pretty much just going to be minimal amount of like steps, and pretty much with these DIYs I wanted them all to be super quick, something you could probably do in like 15 minutes or less. But the best part is it's 7 DIYs for under $7, and with that I just felt like these are gonna be quick and easy DIYs, and I had a lot of ideas, and for the 777 challenge I thought, let's do 7 DIYs. So after I cover the beads as thoroughly as I can with a foam brush, this is Waverly white chalk paint that I'm using. I'm taking a smaller brush to fill in the little creases in between each button there, and just fill it in with some paint and make sure I didn't miss any spots. Because I used my hot glue gun to secure them, that they do stick up a little bit. And I used a little bit too much glue there in that one spot, so that's what you see me doing there. I'm picking that off. But there is a much easier way you can actually get the glue off. If you use that little sponge piece that Dollar Tree sells, it looks like a sponge. I'll have to link down to it below or something if I can find it on Amazon. But basically there's this little tiny plastic thing, and it's basically a glue gun eraser, and you can use that to get rid of some excess glue, I've learned. I was totally going to use that, and then I ended up painting over the hot glue, so I ended up not having to use that little eraser thing, but I was going to do that and I was going to show you guys. So I'm just still trying to fill in and cover those beads thoroughly. Because they are such a dark color, I have to use a couple coats of paint there and make sure everything's thoroughly covered. So once I've done about 2 coats of paint on this little house, then I just take some, oh my gosh, I can't think of the word, twine. I'm like having a total brain fart there. And I just wrap this up a bunch of times, and then I just cinch the middle, actually using the strands of the actual ribbon itself and not a different piece of twine. So then I just use the hot glue to kind of wrap those pieces underneath and make it look like it's just one big bow tied together. And those are just the end pieces of each side of the twine. So then I just cut off the little legs. Were a little too long on this bow, so I just wanted them to be a little bit shorter. And there's really not that much like steps on this DIY that you need to do, and that's really the whole point of all of my DIYs today. And then just like that, you're done. So like I said, today is the 777 challenge, and it's hosted by 6 kids and a glue gun. She got all of us together, so I've linked down everybody's channels below. So we're all part of this collab, so all of our videos are on a playlist. And really, today's challenge is in honor of her son, Jay, and she thought it would be really cool to celebrate her son's birthday this way, gathering 7 friends together, and he was born on 7/7. So it's just a really fun way to honor his birthday. And I think it was really cool, the idea that she came up with, because she asked him what he wanted for his birthday, and he said that he would love it for her to reach 700 subscribers. So basically we're doing this video challenge as a way to celebrate her milestone and also celebrate her son's birthday. And I just thought it was such a sweet challenge, and I was like, yeah, I would love to be a part of it. So definitely check out everybody's videos below. They're all in a playlist, but I've also linked all of their channels as well, so make sure to go check them out. So this is a galvanized metal piece, also from that same galvanized metal section of Dollar Tree. All of the DIYs are all Dollar Tree today, of course. So I'm just taking this green chalk paint, and I'm not sure the actual color of it, but it's actually folk art. And it is a chalk paint color, so I just did a couple coats of this because I wanted to make sure the truck was thoroughly covered for what I'm doing now. And what I'm doing now is I'm just taking some Waverly antique wax, and I guess I was focused a little bit too much on these lines, but with these DIYs really being, you know, minimal effort, I was like, why am I doing all of this work with the brush here with this antique wax when I could just have the brush do the work for me? And really all you have to do is just lay the brush down on those creases and just kind of guide it over each crease, and then, you know, the wax will just come off on every piece of the sign that stands out. So right now I'm just this is too much work, I think. So really you just let the brush do the work for you. You just lay the brush down on the crease and just kind of trace over it, and then that is what does everything for you. And that there you can see a little bit more of how the wax just kind of goes over the creases just so easily. But basically I just did some dry brushing as well, and I got basically the least amount of antique wax on this brush as much as possible. So I'm just kind of gently just kind of scraping it over each little angle there that hasn't been filled in by antique wax. I did kind of some slight fading in some parts, and really I just wanted to make this look very weathered and rustic. So here I'm just layering some ribbon, and I guess I didn't do like my my normal you know, tons of embellishments on all the other DIYs, but I would say this DIY probably took the longest out of all of today's DIYs, because this was kind of more similar to the DIYs that I normally like to do. And normally my DIYs have a bunch of steps to them because I like to add, you know, more and more things. But so out of all of the DIYs, this one's probably the most time consuming. I just layered a bunch of Dollar Tree ribbon together. I did some lace, and then I did some burlap as the back piece. And then this is where I just like to cinch everything together. And you're supposed to pull it as tightly as you can, really, to get this to look like a large bow piece. So I mean, I try to cinch it as best I can, but as much as I want to tighten this, I can never pull it as tight as I want it to. So that is definitely something I need to keep practicing. And then once I have the bow where I want it, and once I have all of the pieces kind of spread out how I like, then I decided the very finishing piece of this should be a cute little button. I tried out all different sizes of buttons, and then I realized I wanted the smallest button possible after all that. And again, I'm not sure why I felt like this needed to be this green color, but I was like, no, it has to be green. I don't know why, but I ended up just loving the green and the antique wax together. That combination of green and brown I thought was really cool. So this is how it looks when it's all done. And honestly, I could put this out, I feel like any time of the year. I feel like it would work. Thank you guys so much for watching, and this is only the middle of the video, so make sure to subscribe, hit the thumbs up. Marcus and I thank you. We thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate all of the love and support, and please keep watching the video to see the rest of the DIYs. So next up we have this home sign. I kind of thought about like many different ways to redo this sign, and I wanted to do maybe more black and white at one time, but I really like how this ended up turning out. So first I'm just going to take this piece off of here, this little garland. This comes off really easily. They just hot glued it down, I think, when they made this, so it comes off pretty easily. And some of the pieces did get stuck with it, but I did just take my heat gun and just kind of use that scraper tool. That's what I'm doing right there. I'm just removing all the excess glue using my scraper tool because I used my heat gun to melt the glue to be able to scrape it off easily. So then once that's done, and I did sand over the glue a little bit too, so any leftover glue would not stand out, and that's why you see my finger sander over there. But anyway, once you do that, then you can start painting once everything is completely flat and you no longer have any hot glue pieces standing out. But like I said, I want this to be very like minimal effort for all of these DIYs, so I don't want there to be like too many steps you have to do. So basically just cover the whole thing in white paint. And I want to say, I think maybe I did about 2 coats because I just felt like 1 coat was not enough, and you could kind of clearly see the metal underneath. Or the fake metal underneath. It is a Dollar Tree sign. So then once it has been coated twice in white Waverly chalk paint, then I take this antique wax and I'm using a little bit of a technique similar to the last video, the last DIY, and I'm just kind of like dry brushing really. I don't have a ton of wax on this brush, kind of just a little bit heavy when I first touch the brush to the sign. It comes out slightly heavier there, as you can probably tell, but I just kind of keep going and I try to catch the edges. And that is something I like to do every time with anything I'm making rustic or weathered looking. So once I do that technique on the entire sign, then I'm going to reattach this cute little garland with my hot glue gun. I wanted to make sure it was the pretty side. And this is how it looks when it's all done. Oh, and I had to show you guys this cute little cameo from Marcus because he was just watching the whole time and I was like, wait a minute, he's not on camera. So I shifted my phone over so you could see him. I was like, oh my gosh, he's staring at me in like the whole time as I'm working and I couldn't even show him. So here you go, guys. Here's a cute little Marcus cameo. And then here you go. Here is what the sign looks like when it's all done. So next up, this one has barely any steps. So this is one of those Dollar Tree drawers. I've saved them. I believe this might be the medium-sized one. And I just paint the entire thing white with my white Waverly chalk paint. Like I said, guys, I'm trying to keep these DIYs quick and easy for today's video. So I'm not doing a lot of my, I guess, normal amount of like distressing, but I mean, obviously I just did for these past couple of DIYs, but I'm kind of keeping that down to like just a little bit. So this brush is great for getting like large parts of this little drawer sign white, but it never gets like the corners, as you can see right there. It's it's perfect for like covering like many areas of the box, but you can't rely on these foam brushes to actually get the corners for you. So that's where I come in with a smaller brush, and that's where I get to touch up the corners. But these foam brushes are great for just covering a large area of whatever you're working on quickly. So then once the entire thing is completely covered, then I'm just hot gluing down this cute little farmer's market piece that came from one of those, it's in the garden section of Dollar Tree, those little gardening signs. This was over there with them, and this was part of a larger kind of garland looking sign that hangs down, and it says farmer's market, and I was like, this is so cute on its own. I feel like this could just easily turn into a cute little sign, and that's really what I'm doing with this DIY. So I'm just putting the little metal piece back on this because I took it off so I could paint everything just quickly and easily and not have to worry about getting this thing coated in white paint. So the screws go easily back in even after you painted it. I mean, it's just the perfect kind of material that these little pieces are on because you can easily put this right back into the drawer, and like it, you barely have to use any effort to get these like screws and this little metal piece back onto this thing. So here is what it looks like when it's all done. And I have to say, I really, really like this as is. I really didn't feel like it needed any other embellishments or weathering or anything like that. I really liked it. And I feel like it kind of looks modern farmhouse too. But anyway, on to the next DIY. These are a bunch of these tiny little frames from Dollar Tree, and as you can tell they're actually, these are also supposed to be like place settings for weddings, but half of them are kind of like made up with that little like place setting thing, and then the other half are just like photo frames, but they're the exact same frame. So Dollar Tree has them being sold as like two different things, but anyway, doesn't matter. I am going to use 4 of these to make a cute little window. And this is a really quick DIY, I feel like. You really don't, I decided not to even paint these. I really liked the design that these frames had, even though they're plastic and you can, you know, clearly tell they're plastic with how shiny they are. I really liked the design that was on here. Like, they already had a pretty kind of like rustic weathered look to it. So another DIY with like very few steps. So you're just gonna hot glue all of them together and just make kind of like one big window looking thing here. But you can tell that, you know, they are a little bit curved. You know, it does not lay flat. And that really just has to do with like the way that the frames are made, and when you push them all together, that's just kind of how they end up. But I kind of did flatten it a little bit by using these popsicle sticks as kind of like a as I guess the word is like splint or something. I think that's basically what it is. Similar to like a broken bone or something. But you kind of just like lay this on top of all of the frames, and then that kind of actually, by me pressing down and all of the hot glue underneath it, it kind of straightened it out a little tiny bit. But that is mostly just used for extra support, and that's the reason why I'm doing this. To make sure that none of these come undone. So, I mean, maybe it didn't completely flatten it, but it helped a little bit. So I'm taking this love sign and I'm taking the garland off of it. I love these little garlands, as you can tell. But I thought it would look really pretty on this cute little window. So really, I wanted these DIYs to be kind of like items you could have in your house all year round, and maybe it could fit, you know, any time of the year, any season. And I just love putting greenery on things these days. So I'm just hot gluing this. I didn't do any other like extra steps. Hot glue was really all this needed to stay down. And then I did decide to use, to do one, I guess, little embellishment, but I did these wooden beads, and basically the trick that I've learned, as I've done this so many times now, I add these wooden beads to so many things, but the trick is to make sure you have an even number of wooden beads on this string, which I guess should be obvious to me, but I didn't even think about that before, but you need to have an even number of wooden beads on this string so that you can have that little space in between at the top for the little hook. But also when you're laying this down, make sure you leave just a couple little centimeters there of string with no bead on it, and just kind of as that extra space for your hook when you go to hang this. Hopefully that makes sense, but basically, I mean, you can tell in a little bit. I'm going to show you how much space I left. So I just hot glued those two strings down there on either side of this. And then I'm just putting the hot glue at the very, very top, on top of that string. And this popsicle stick is reinforcing the string. But I don't know if you can tell there, but I did leave a tiny amount of space between the string and the popsicle, between the bead and the popsicle stick. There's a tiny amount of extra string right there, and that is going to help me when I go to hang this with my hooks. But it also helps that you have an even number of beads on each side. Okay, I had to leave this in too because I thought it was so cute, because I'm putting all the beads away and Marcus is like staring at me. What? He's staring at me doing this, like so, just like he wants to play with them or something. But I thought it was so cute. But it's like the second I put the greenery back on my little display here when I was making my DIYs, he comes right back up to see what I'm doing. So this is how it turned out, and this is exactly why I painted it. I feel like you can really see the rustic weathered look already. So next up for this DIY, I'm using another little galvanized home sign. Well, it's not a home sign, but you know, it's like in the shape of a house, and I thought it was really cute. But I'm just taking some Waverly chalk paint, and I'm going to cover this whole thing in Waverly chalk paint. I just decided to paint the entire thing white. I just felt like, I don't know if I was just lazy or if I didn't want to cover up that little wooden piece at the bottom here, but I didn't really feel like it needed it. I thought it would look great if the whole thing was covered in white. So I did do 2 coats of the white Waverly chalk paint on this because one layer is just never enough and the metal just comes through so easily. So after I have it completely covered in white chalk paint, the whole thing, then I finally took those cute little Dollar Tree farmhouse stickers that I just found recently. I've been staring at these things for like a week trying to figure out what to do with them. And I just decided to use them on this cute little house. So I thought this would be a fun way to turn this into a cute little farmhouse piece. So after I have all of my stickers down, you'll see in a little bit which ones I picked. I am taking some antique Waverly wax and I'm going over everything. I'm completely making this a rustic piece. I'm using that wax to kind of rough things up a bit, make it look, I guess, like it's been around a while. And that is also kind of how I felt like I could get the stickers to kind of blend in more with the paint so they didn't kind of stand out as much as they're clearly stickers. That's why I love using rub-on transfers for things, because they're just practically like they just feel like they're in the product like when they're made. But the thing about stickers is they stand out and you can clearly tell that something is a sticker. So that is definitely the major downside to using them. So I like to kind of cover them up with antique wax, so you can't really tell as much that these are just regular stickers. And then this is how it turns out, and I think it's so cute. So I believe this is the last DIY of the video, and here we are, guys. We're at number 7. So I am just taking some of these rub-on transfers like I just said, and I definitely love using these, but I will say that I picked probably not the best, I guess, kind of surface to use these on, because these little rounded vases that I got from Target, they're really adorable, except they're not ideal for rub-on transfers. I thought this was going to be like super easy, but it's a paper, it's a plastic paper that these rub-on transfers are on, and they're not, you can't like lay it perfectly flat because the plastic just does not bend the way that you want it to. So you pretty much have to go just very, very slow, but also just do it in small sections at a time, not this one big sheet, because I messed it up. And then this is actually a mess up side and a side that I'm not showing because it got all messed up. So definitely do it in small sections. And that is the biggest lesson I've learned from trying to do this. So I was cutting out all different patterns and shapes from this rub-on transfer sheet from Dollar Tree, but I mean, I would say the only ones that worked were just very, very small sections, very, very small photos. So I was trying to cut off the excess, and I was hoping that maybe that would help things a little bit more. But my biggest takeaway is to just go slow with these. Because you're holding it there, but the paper just keeps moving around. So that's how some of these like pictures can definitely get messed up. So I did good. I went very slow with this one, and this one turned out fine. And then I left the mess up on the other side, and I'm not going to show that. And this is another mess up. I thought this one would be easier, but it actually was worse because it was a longer phrase. So that is another side that I'm not going to show. So this one, I was able to go very, very slowly, and the letters were not right on top of each other, so that kind of made things easier. So I just went very, very slow, one letter at a time. And this is my scraper tool from Cricut, and that was really the best thing because the letters came off of the sheet right away when I used this little scraper tool that is normally used for putting down your vinyl. And this is how they turned out, and I have to say I love these. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I just want to send a big shout out to Teresa B DIY. Thank you so much for sending me a super chat in my latest live video, my latest live stream. I go live every Mondays. So thank you so much, Teresa. And if you want to check out more videos, watch them here on the left, and make sure to check out all the other videos in the playlist. Have a great day. Bye, guys.